Next thing, we'll start writing the code itself. So let's begin with square image structure. And variables of this type will be used across the application to temporarily store the data generated for the QR code. And we of course need to add those newly created files to the repo. So git add squareimage.hpp and git commit-m for the square image structure, and also don't forget to git add makefile and also git commit-m add makefile. And let's see what we've got in the repo. Our next stage is going to be a bit longer, as we are going to work on the QR code class. And this is where the QR code will be generated. Let's create class QR code gen. We'll begin with the class constructor, which will receive version and the ECC type. There will of course be the private part, which will consist of the version, ECC type and the scale. And don't forget about the file name, because we're going to store the generated QR code image into a file. Next, we will be creating int function, which will receive the scale for the QR code image. It's really simple. Next step is to have a look at the generate function. That function will generate the QR code based on the passed string. This is a long and rather complex function, so I'd prefer to copy and paste, so please have a look at the repository. Inside we'll declare a QR code variable, which comes from the QR code generation library. And then we do some manipulations over there. And by the way, the library will generate the data which we later will have to represent as actual image. It is also important to check if the passed string will fit the QR code image based on the string length and also the version of the QR code and the ECC type. Let's also include the header for the QR code library, and don't forget to wrap it with C++, as the library is written with C. Let's have a closer look at the generation function. QR code underscore init text will create the QR code image, which will be represented with Boolean values saved into mQR code data variable. This code here prints the generated Boolean values, and we use it for debug purposes. We can disable it later. And in this loop, we create the QR code image in the memory, which was allocated earlier. Every pixel is scaled and is assigned a color, which is either white or black. Border will be white. Let's add some more methods to the QR code gen class. So to begin with, we'll add getImage method, which will return the square image. This getter method will be used to pass the generated image in memory to other logic which will do something with the QR code, such as print it, display or save it to a file. The next will be check strings fits, so that, as it has been mentioned, we must be sure that the string we want to encode with the QR code will actually fit into that QR code image. And it is a function of the string length and also the ECC and the version of the QR code. We'll also need to set some constant values in this module, such as image pixel size, and which will be set to 4, and that means that every pixel is actually 4 byte wide or 32-bit wide. So that will be 3 bytes for the color and 1 byte for the transparency or alpha channel. We're not going to use transparency here, but this is what needs to be done to represent them in the memory. So we're setting like the black color, also setting the white color. We need to determine the border width, which we'll deliberately set to 4. It should be good enough for our purposes to have a proper QR code image. And these constants are used all across the generation method.